Hello, everybody. This is Matt with Nozzle Reaction Podcast. I'm here flying solo today. No Andy. Our schedules are crazy and hard to catch up to each other sometimes. Didn't want to leave us in limbo too long without any content. So last week I had some time off and digging through some of my old archives, and I came across some writings that I had done back starting around 2010. I had actually started doing, if you're familiar, if date ourselves a little, before the era of podcasts, we had these things called blogs where we would share information and experiences through writing, post them online, and people could comment and such. So I'd found my old blog site, Just A Vollie, and decided after reading through them, talked to Andy a little bit, and thought maybe we could use these as some filler, maybe to add content, and also as primers for some conversations. So I went through, I read through them, pulled a couple down. Actually, I pulled all of them offline, put them back into draft mode, put them all into my Google Drive so I could read through them. Figured today maybe I would read the first of the blogs that I ever posted as Just A Vollie. And we'll get into that on another one, why it was called Just A Vollie. So I'll read it. I didn't leave them as originally written, partly because I've progressed, I've changed, I'm much wiser, smarter, measured maybe. So when I read through it, I just couldn't leave it. Ever improving, I suppose. So I did change a little bit. The content has not changed, but some of the grammar and perhaps maybe the tense, verb tense and such. So it reads easier. It'll make more sense. So I'll go ahead and start and see what you think. I'm not sure when exactly it began. The memories are not all that clear. By that I mean they aren't full in their entirety. They are more like snapshots, snippets of time. The thing I remember the most is definitely the smell, an odor like none other. The instant you walked through the door, you were greeted by it. To stay too long would allow it to permeate, providing evidence of the visit to others at home. A keen mixture of mechanical equipment, dampness, and smoke. It was an odor tempered only in strength with the passing of each fire. Over time, especially periods without work, the smell would fade, but never entirely leave, always detectable. The sounds play a close second to the smells. The bullhorn mounted high in the front corner of the apparatus bay, echoing all the calls in the area, was most prominent and could easily stop a conversation mid-word if the right phrase was thought to be heard. Bullshit was the other sound. Men bragging and spinning yarns of past calls, remembrance of past members and members past, and the way things should be done. I was small then, probably too young to hear some of the words, not that I noticed. I was more interested in the playground-like fire apparatus, fondly referred to as engine this or ladder that. Like the other children lucky enough to accompany Dad to the fire station, I would play fireman, hanging from the tailboard of the pumper, imagining the day when I would have turnouts and get to respond. Then came the firehouse pranks. Certain acts of mischief are conjured up by the firemen to be acted out, with a child as the main culprit. Goosing was a favorite back then. an act in which the child would be goaded into using an adjustable wrench to illustrate the anticipated uneasiness of another member, when the said wrench was jabbed into the back of the leg just above the knee. Of course, since a child of such innocence could not be held accountable, the entire episode would become nothing short of a circus show with hopping and pointing heaped with laughter. These were good times with good men. They shared beer, cigars, and laughter. It was then, as it is now, a brotherhood. Alarms were announced via a large air horn mounted on a tower at the station. At one time, the number and sequence of horn blasts would signal the alarm box. My memories are that of only 3 different alarms. I cannot accurately recall what they were, other than there was a general alarm, a mutual aid, and one for a local manufacturing plant. I only ever heard 2. The phone tree that my grandfather used to sound and advance the alarm had been replaced by the plectron my father kept on the nightstand. I, too, would someday get a plectron, because there were not enough Minotaur 2 pagers to go around. I was new and would only be around for a year or so before I left for the Navy, therefore not deserving, or so I thought. Regardless, I always seemed to make it to the workers, and soon made a name for myself as a good mask man. I had a lot of help from some good firefighters back then, just as I do today. And I was smart enough to listen to them, just enough to keep out of trouble. Today, I find myself nearly 3,000 miles away from that place, still jumping to catch a job when one drops in. When I go back, it is the same, yet so very different. I hardly know any of the people, and the firehouse isn't the hangout it used to be. But when I walk through the doors into the lobby, there remains a constant. Ooh, that smell. So some of the blogs I wrote were kind of like this. They were more of a creative writing style, maybe, and just trying to capture and preserve a good memory. There's a lot of science that indicates our sense of smell connects our memories. It allows us to access memories that we bury. Hopefully, if you have those, they're good memories. For me, the smell of a firehouse is a good memory. There are other smells that that we have in the fire ground that aren't so good. Body fluids. And if you've been to a lower GI bleed, you know what I'm talking about. We can tell the type of a fire by the odor. Grass fires, woodland fires, house fires, car fires, they're all unique. The airbags and vehicular fluids at MVAs. And sometimes that can trigger a bad memory. And then for anybody that's been inside of a burning house working, you know, well, unless you're follically challenged, Jim, you know the smell that stays in your hair for sometimes weeks. Every shower, when you wash your hair, you can smell it. It brings back that smell. So I hope you enjoyed this. Some of the other blogs are more of they're more focused on leadership value type topics. There's a few more that are along this creative line. And if you enjoy them, let me know. If this was something that you'd like to see more of, put something in the comment. Let me know what you think. Make sure you're following us so you don't miss any of our episodes as they start to come in, hopefully a little more frequently. Share this with your friends, your fire friends, retired, active, either way, future firefighters. Send it out, and you can also find us on Instagram and Twitter, Nozzle Reaction. So at Nozzle Reaction on Twitter and on Instagram. And we try to make sure anytime we post something that we follow it up there too. With that said, I hope you're having a great day.